There is so much BS floating around about TIG welding. So today I'm breaking down the 3 biggest lies that keep beginners stuck. And here is the first biggest lie, and that is you need expensive gear. Check this out. Let me know in the comments below if you feel the same about this one. Everywhere I look online, I see fancy gear, expensive stuff. And when I was first starting to try and get really good at TIG welding, I got really overwhelmed by seeing a lot of this stuff. There's so many options. When it comes to machines, you could spend over $10,000 without even trying. There are machines with really high capability stuff, customizable settings, whatever, variations on polarity and frequency and wave shape options. When it comes to picking out a machine, it can seem like you're picking out like a NASA spaceship or something like that sometimes. But my friends, I would like to introduce you to this old dinosaur here. This is my old buddy. This is a Lincoln 355, and this was the machine that I learned how to TIG weld on back in 2002. This machine had absolutely no customizable settings for the most part. It was a transformer type machine. So using this thing, I didn't even know what a frequency setting was. It was literally just fire it up, set my amperage, my post flow, make sure my ground was set up and the gas was turned on, and that was it. Away I went. On the machine, as far as settings, there was no real balance setting for the most part. There was a knob as far as balance, but as far as any adjustment with it, turning it, I would swear at times it didn't even do anything. So I just used to set it to auto and just whatever, let's go. Now, check out the machines that I'm lucky enough to have here right now. These ones are absolutely dope. They have a ton of customizable settings, really high-tech customizable wave patterns that you can weld with on each one. You can fine-tune frequency, balance, and 100 million other things in the pulse sections. And you want to know the funny thing? Check this out. I could lay down welding that looks just as good with this old fella right here. That's right, with this machine, I learned how to weld, not how to rely on a machine's settings. There are basic fundamentals with how to properly set up and learn how to use a machine. And when you learn this stuff, you can pretty much grip it and rip it with whatever type of machine you are using. Check out this section in my book right here. In my new TIG welding textbook, I literally go over some of the most fundamental settings that will literally get you up and running, whether you are using a transformer or inverter type machine. No extra fluff at all. You can literally get going with any type of TIG welding machine, providing obviously it has the capability to weld on AC or alternating current. And if you learn how to do this stuff with whatever machine you're working on, you can literally get going with your own aluminum projects today. Now, just to be clear, these machines that I do have in my shop here are fantastic. To be honest, if I had to choose, I would pick them any day over this old buddy I had to learn on. Even though I absolutely used to love this thing, these new machines are extremely lightweight. They are much more portable. They take up less space in the shop. Consumables I use are much easier to acquire these days. And of course, with these new machines, you can upgrade torches and all kinds of stuff to more lightweight, ergonomic type things. They're a lot easier to use for a longer duration of time. And I do, of course, use the settings for all kinds of customizable stuff that I like trying out. But honestly, as far as the amount of options that these come with, I don't actually use many of them at all. The main thing, honestly, is that it's just set up reliably. I have a foot pedal that works really well and a torch with good dexterity, and it doesn't weigh too much. I need a clean tungsten electrode. I need a helmet that I can see clearly out of. Other than that, everything else is just gravy. Like I talked about, these machines are like much cheaper to acquire these days. If you were to purchase something like this old fella back in the day, it would have cost you an arm and a leg. And you probably needed something with a crane or some kind of a truck or forklift to get it off and into your shop. These things, although not necessary, are just easier to have around in your shop as far as the space they take up and the ease of use and price. So again, my friend, it does not really matter what type of machine you have. If you have some fancy stuff, that's great. But if you only have access to something basic or something that's not that new, just learn how to use it properly and get welding with it. Now, when it comes to torch stuff, I do like using like fancy stuff that I have nowadays. I really like cups that give me a little bit more control with stainless steel, as well as being able to see a little bit more clearly. These ones from Edge Welding are fantastic to use, and it's actually kind of cool. I've started to use them a little bit with TIG welding aluminum. However, the main reasons I do this is just so that I can film a little bit better. I want to get the best camera angles for everybody watching here. But look at this here. This is the setup that I used for decades back in production. Yep. This is just a super simple alumina cup. I would use a gas lens for pretty much everything that I did. And if I was ever switching between aluminum and stainless, literally the only thing I would switch out would usually be the tungsten electrode sometimes. Obviously because the different electrodes are prepared with different tips. That's about it. Don't worry about getting the best stuff or the most up-to-date, like high-tech stuff with TIG welding. Literally, the most important stuff that I recommend people spend their money on is obviously, like we talked about, some kind of a reliable machine. If you do purchase something, make sure you get something with good reviews, good customer service, so that you can always get help if it ever has short circuits and leaves you hanging. You need a helmet that is relatively lightweight with a good size of viewing area that you can see clearly with a good lens. A torch that isn't too heavy with good dexterity is important as well. And these gloves that I'm wearing here, they are like some of the best ones as far as the best dexterity. I've used them for years now. Aside from that, just keep your tungsten electrode clean. There's a ton of options of different things you can get set up with your own setup in your garage or home shop. Don't break the bank. Save your money for practice materials later. Now, the next myth that you hear sometimes, and this is something you see online quite a bit, TIG welding is hard. Oh my God, you have to spend years in school to do this one thing that only masters can do? No, dude. Listen to me, people. I was one of the dumbest dipshits you could have ever met back when I was a teenager. I was only good at playing guitar in punk rock bands and doing tricks on my BMX. I was hopeless with everything else. But when I discovered welding, I honestly just thought it was really cool. And then I started the journey to try and figure it out all by myself with no experience. If I can learn how to do this back in 2002, any human on the planet nowadays can figure it out. Obviously, there are definite techniques and little nuances that are gonna help you to develop really good fundamentals. And there is always ways that you can kind of shortcut your learning curve. But if I can stumble around blindly, totally messing up every practice material anywhere near me, after a couple years, I finally figured it out. I guarantee that you can pick it up in a much shorter span of time. You can learn on YouTube these days, for heck's sake. You know how many free lessons you can find out there at any given time? I have multiple free classes on my website that you can take on demand. I have full curriculums that you can sign up for to learn how to do this. And again, I just released this textbook. This hardcover textbook is probably one of the best things I could have stumbled upon back when I first discovered I wanted to learn. This book is not just a book to read. It is like a program from start to finish. It teaches you all about the machine and torch and all kinds of gear setup like we talked about, even more. It breaks down the things that you need to pay attention to and the stuff you can kind of just leave for later. We get into the real meat and potatoes of what's going to get you welding today. And here's the coolest thing about this book. Check this out. You just scan the QR code on the bookmark and it opens up a complete online platform where you can go through the video lessons for every chapter and follows the book from page to page, pretty much start to finish. You guys, literally anybody can learn this stuff these days. Remember that dude from the movie Ratatouille? There was this French cook, Gusteau, and he believed that everybody could learn how to cook. He said, to heck with all the food critics out there, whatever. If you wanted to learn bad enough, you should learn. I am like the welding version of Gusteau. As long as you want it bad enough and you're willing to put in some time to learn how to do it, you can learn for free online or by distance through some kind of class. If you think that there is any barrier of entry of trying to get into this really cool trade, forget it. Screw the critics. Jump in and get welding as soon as you can. This stuff is an absolute blast. So many people just want to learn to make their own stuff too. Not everybody wants to learn so they can get super certified and get into aerospace TIG welding or whatever. And this leads me to the third lie about TIG welding. You have to be really good and certified to make projects. Now listen, this might blow your mind, people, but this is true. There are garage hobbyists out there right now who have never attended a day of school in their life. They've never passed a certification test, but check this out. They are making whatever they want. Check this guy out. This is my friend Jeremiah. This dude was a rower in the Olympics, for God's sake. He never had any experience in any kind of shop. He literally just decided he wanted to make a crazy trailer for his bike, and a trailer that he kind of wanted to jump on his bike and ride across the country with. He found a way that he could learn by distance through one of my programs. He just put in the time and he learned, and then he built whatever he wanted. Look at some of this other stuff that students have made going through my programs. These are all things that people just decided they needed or wanted to make. I don't even know what some of these things are, but after learning the basics of TIG welding and figuring out what we wanted to do to get them headed in the right direction to make these projects, they got to work and they achieved their goals. Welding is supposed to be fun, and you learn to do it so you can do whatever you want with metal. Any gatekeepers out there who think that TIG welding is some kind of like special club can kindly right off. This trade is a ton of fun and I want everybody to experience how cool this is. If you guys want to learn how to TIG weld, get out of the comment section on Instagram. Do what you got to do to get set up and jump right into it. Pick up a machine, watch some videos on YouTube, do whatever it takes to get moving in the direction of the goals that you want to achieve. Like I said, I have free programs online that you can take on demand at any time, and seriously, pick up one of my textbooks. These are the craziest textbooks in existence. They're the most fun to read, and like I mentioned, it's not just a book, but it's the whole classroom included with it. I dream of having these textbooks in trade classrooms all over the world. Grab one of these while I'm still doing the first run of them, and do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. My name is Dusty James. Phil and Shell, we will talk soon. Peace.